Shabbat Shalom. Opening question. How do we build this community together in a deep, active, intentional way? Last night, we had our Yedid Nefesh, one of our Friday night musical services in the chapel. And since I'm going to speak about building community today, I can't help but share how beautiful it was to have over 150 people in the chapel singing, praying together, laughing together. It was one of those big community moments, as is this morning. What a B'nai Mitzvah, the Ben Yehuda B'nai Mitzvah. I love building this community with you. So, first, this is my actual first question. Is anybody in this group a grammar nerd? Anybody? Grammar? I see some nods. I see more nods than okay. I can't be the only one, I figured. So find me at Kiddush, we can talk, really get into it. But for now, everyone, what part of speech is the word community? Noun. What part of speech also could it be? So if we said, community organizing, community kiddush, adjective, right. Okay. How do we say community in Hebrew? Kehillah. Yes, we say community in kehillah. Kehillah is also a noun, kehillah. And it can be easily turned into an adjective with a little bit of smichut, a little bit of Hebrew grammar shift. So now, as we read the beginning of this parsha, of the Vayakel, the first part of this parsha, we'll find the word community appears as another part of speech. So the context is, Moshe is teaching what he's just learned from God on Mount Sinai. His face is glowing, as we talked about last week. And so this is a big moment. This is quite a dramatic moment. And we read the first words of the parsha, Vayakel Moshe et kol adat b'nei Yisrael. Vayakel. So what is the root of this word? Vayakahal, right. Kahal, like kehillah. But in this Hebrew sentence, Moses then vayakal something, the whole Israelite congregation. So Moses did what? Made a verb. Made a community. Moses communitied the whole congregation, the whole group of Israelites. And then he said to them, these are the things that God commanded you to do. So kehillah is in Hebrew a verb here. Vayakhel, to make into a community. Community is a verb. How's that? Community is a verb. For our ancestors, community is not only a verb, it is a powerful verb. When they community, the verb, big things happen. So the Israelites communitied, vayakheld, once before in our Torah narrative. So 3 chapters ago, it was also a big moment in the Torah story. It was not a good moment. It was the time when the Israelites built the golden calf. They also vayakheld, they also communitied in order to build this forbidden idol, which represents a lot of pain, a lot of despair and destruction in the relationship between the people and Moses, between the people and God. So that wasn't a good vayakel, a good community. This parsha this week, is a good one. This is gathering in community to hear the revelation of the Torah, to hear Moses' teaching, and to become a community together. We learn in a midrash, this is from Rabbeinu Bachya, a rabbi from 14th century Spain, that the word vayakel intentionally connects these two moments. So he writes, the commandment for Moses to assemble all the people at this point, today, in our time in the Parsha, was to compensate, to make up, to heal from the time that Aaron had assembled all the people to build the golden calf. Therefore, this new assembly was to atone for the previous assembly, which had such tragic results. In other words, the Vayakel, this Vayakel today is a makeup Vayakel for the one we really messed up 3 chapters ago. A modern scholar, the great Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, distinguishes between the 2 moments in the story in a different way. When he writes, when Moses came down the mountain and saw the golden calf, the Torah says the people were pru'ah, meaning wild, disorderly, chaotic, unruly, tumultuous. And Moses saw that the people were running wild and that Aaron had let them get out of control. Then, he writes, they were not a community, but a crowd. Community versus crowd. This crowd is distinguished from the true community that Moses creates in our parsha this week. This time, the people are communitying I created a new word, to build something good. In fact, to build 2 somethings good. We read about building the Mishkan, the portable sanctuary, which we heard Samuel Ben Yehuda, our bar mitzvah, teach about this morning so beautifully. And they are also learning how to keep Shabbat, which we heard our B'nai mitzvah, Ada Ben Yehuda, teach about this morning. In both community projects, they are learning to be actively engaged as a people. Both of these projects require work. For the Mishkan, the work is engaging in the physical building the physical material world, fashioning metal. We've heard about sewing fabric. We've heard about woodworking, if that's the right word to use for making wood, collecting jewels and animal skins, really engaging in the world in that way. And for Shabbat, the work, the charge to the people is a different one. It's to rest, to cease. In fact, it's the opposite, to cease the physical building, to cease the manipulating of the world. And instead, perhaps we can say instead, to do some emotional and spiritual work, maybe on ourselves, on our relationships, in community. It's still potentially work, still a project, the project of Shabbat. So on the 6 days of building, we community together, and on this one day of Shabbat, we also community together in a different way. There are ways to community the verb, there are ways to community the noun. Here at Bethel, we value and welcome all the ways that each of us communities in all the different parts of speech. And so we value, and I challenge us to think and to reflect and to ask ourselves, by which way is each of us communitying here? Or if you're a visitor, we welcome you. And how are you communitying where you are? And which one do you want? Community, the verb, takes more than a checkbox on a membership application, although we love the checkboxes on the membership application. I invite you to community the verb here by finding passion and connection. If you love something, I am reasonably certain that someone else loves that thing, just like I love a lot of things, Shabbat and learning, and I found out this morning I love grammar, and I have that in common with a lot of you in the room. So it's simple in a way. Do you here with us? And bring your people, the people who are already your people and the people who might become your people, if you were to do some of that active community, the verb. So if you invite someone to join you for services or a lunch or a schmooze or an event, if you invite them, even if they don't come, even if they're not available that day, if you invite them to come to shul, say Joseph Schmo Make Joe Schmo a little more Jewish sounding. Joseph Schmo, you invited him to shul. I'll invite him to shul. And he says, I say, can we go to shul? Can we go to the park afterwards to catch up? And he says, I can't because I usually do come to shul, but something happened in my family. My kid sprained her ankle. And we're going to instead watch movies on Shabbat. And so what I've learned about this fellow member of my community is he would come to shul. He would want to come to shul with me. He has a kid. Maybe she sprained her ankle playing soccer, so then I know that she plays soccer. I know a lot about this person by engaging in community actively as a verb. We've begun a relationship. And this is even if they don't come. If they do come, all the more engaging and activating that relationship can be. So through this one-on-one conversation, I've learned you can learn a good amount about the person. And there are a lot of other examples about how we can do this. The time is a little late. Imagine all the ways you might community here or community wherever your place is as a verb. From ancient times, when Moshe created a community out of a people recovering from slavery and wandering in the desert, we have known and we have taught each other that community is a verb. Jewish community is a verb. All communities can be verbs. We are a people who gather. And so I invite you to community with me, to community with Joseph Schmo, with the person sitting next to you, with the person you meet at Kiddush, with my fellow clergy. I'm here. Rabbi Harris is here. Chazan Fradkin is here. We have wonderful clergy guests. And with the leadership of our shul, we are so lucky to be here together. So let's community together. Shabbat Shalom.